Yes, hello, ho, ho, ho. In tonight's holiday replay, we go back to the very beginning. That's right, the inaugural episode of Gamble and Finn's Larger Than Live. It was on April 27th. We had some sound issues. The wind was blowing. My memory isn't great. That's why I can't even remember what the hell we talked about. So let's find out together. In tonight's holiday replay, it's the very beginning of Gamble and Finn's Larger Than Live.
All right, that's episode 1. I think that was pretty. I think it went pretty well.
Done?
I think
We're done now? Hey, listen, I told him start about 10 till.
I don't know if they can hear. Maybe you can hear.
Right.
But welcome to our first test drive of Gamble and Finn, Louder Than Live, Larger Than Live, Larger Than Live.
Larger. You don't even know what the hell the name of
I
it
know.
is.
It's gone back and forth so many times. And we did invite the neighbor to start cutting his grass right at
Right.
7 o'clock. Well done.
Thank you. He listened. I said about 10 till, get rolling. Make sure you're done by about 20 hours. I'm just glad we finally are able to start this because I can't possibly work on this anymore.
I know. Well, you must
I've
be exhausted.
Well, I can't. I can barely speak. I spent so much time working on this Facebook Live and all the Instagram, all these posts. I can't deal with this anymore. Now, where'd you find that song? I'll give you credit because you. No, wait. Give me the one, and if you're tuning, we'll tell you who we are if you don't know already from Thursday nights, the Reality Check with Gamble and Finn, 9 to midnight on 700 WLW. We'll be back there this Thursday, but we wanted to do something a little extra. We'll tell you about this momentarily, but you found a song that was really been our song from the very beginning.
Yeah.
The name of that band is?
Life, Sex, and Death.
And they came to Bogarts, right?
They were at Bogarts years ago, and the song is called We're Here Now. And
We're
we've
Here
used
Now,
that
right.
as our theme song
Correct.
since the 96 Rock days. And again, for those who, as you mentioned, from
Right.
an introductory standpoint, we began doing a morning show together years ago at 96 Rock, parlayed, as we like to say on LW, 5 days
Tremendous.
of morning rock radio into one evening on AM Talk, albeit on the biggest radio station in the world. But this is something we have talked about doing, and you laugh about what it takes to put the thing together. But kudos, by the way, to Mrs. Ralph,
Yeah,
who
my
was our
wife.
executive producer, our best boy, our key grip,
Executive chef.
craft services
Yeah,
executive
right,
chef,
right.
second best boy. I mean, I think she put together a hell of a show here.
She
But
did.
we have worked on this idea for a long time, and it was finally time to be me or get on the pot. And I guess
Well, speaking of, we had a green room that we made up, but it's no longer green paint.
I've already spoiled it.
No,
No, I think
it
it's
took
interesting.
like 5 minutes.
For anybody and we are 6 feet apart.
We are, yes.
So if you would like
Social
to pick
distancing,
up
right.
your bobblehead there
Okay.
and just hold it up to
I will.
so that everyone can
Here you
see.
go. Guy who works with me had this made for me, thought it was fitting, put me on the commode, and it says Chief. So there you go.
All right, and
And yours, which was missing for like a year.
It just so happened that when I was working at Bogarts, my boss, the first year, decided that he was going to do these for the different general managers for the club.
Which is cool.
And the best part about this one is, this was from 2014, is when it showed up, my hair had broken off. So it was off on its own spot. Now, I don't know if that's because he knew in the future I was going to cut it off,
Right.
but it is somewhat apropos. Now, the one thing I would tell you about my hair is there's a good chance that this time next week, what I do have left
I can't witness this.
is going to be gone. I think I'm bringing out the clippers, and you're going to do the talking, and I'm just
Okay,
going to go
I can handle that.
straight to a mohawk. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that's really what tonight is all about. Is let's see how it goes.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about doing this. We want to do this. And for those kind of a little behind the scenes, this is one of the challenges we have sometimes. And we get this. I mean, you have to have commercials because you have to pay the bills. But since since COVID-19 has started, they obviously, because they're News Radio 700 WLW, they carry all the news conferences, whether it be the Ohio governor, Kentucky governor, president, of the United States. So a lot of times the spots get kind of backloaded, even pushed, I know, into Lance McAllister Sports Talk, into our show, and the other shows from 9 to midnight. So the good thing about this is I think it's good. I mean, you can tell us whether it's good or not.
We'll see.
It's nonstop talk, and we'll do this until we don't feel like doing it anymore or feel like you've had enough of us. But the reality of it is, hence the reality check, is we can probably expound on subjects where otherwise sometimes we feel like we just get started. That's no knock. It's just the nature of the business. Yeah. And we started where you think about back in the days of 96 Rock, we had 2 to 3 minutes to talk, and that was it.
That was it because we had music
Correct.
and commercials and everything else. So this is a little bit more of an opportunity to be a little more free form. It's an opportunity to maybe dive a little bit deeper. And the best part is it is also a little more interactive. We don't really take calls on the radio show. And if you've ever heard any of the calls we get on the radio show, you know why we don't take calls on the radio show. Now, that said, on the Facebook page here at Gamble and Finn, if you're following along, you can feel free to make any comments that you'd like. If you've got questions, assuming we can figure out.
Don't touch that button again, please.
To read all of them, we'll. I just screwed something
right,
up. Oh, there
okay.
we go. Now I'm seeing some stuff there. But we will make sure to answer those. I see Jake and a handful of others have joined us, and so we'll do our best to shout out, and we'll cover some different things in depth.
And if you've got something you want us to address, just let us know, because we do have kind of a free format. We can address anything and everything, and that's what we plan to do. And we want to have some fun too. We obviously know what's going on around us in the world, and look, I was doing okay until yesterday, honestly.
Really?
So yesterday. And I'm sure, and I know everybody, most people who I've talked to are in a similar situation. The weather has been so crappy, where today's been nice. It's been sunny, delightful. Oh, it's up and right. Well, it's up and down, and I mean, I shouldn't have to wear a hoodie. It's almost May. I mean, we're almost 1/3 into 2020.
We've had snow on Derby Day.
We have. I understand. I get that. I'm tired of hearing about that. It's like people, well, you ought to live in Bismarck. You ought to live in Green. I don't. That's why I don't.
That's why I don't live there,
But I know yesterday, I don't know about you, but yesterday for me was that first day where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm kind of house project out on the inside. I want to get outside. And yesterday was just one of those where it just drove me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm in the majority, not the minority.
And I would tell you what's driving me crazy right now is this, but this is my choice right now for a mask.
I see that.
You can still talk through it. It's a little bit muffled, but it's lest you think that I was on my way to a parade, just a little tie-dye something. I'm going to go ahead and take it off because we are exercising distancing.
We are. Well, mine is more like, I think this fell off one of the tables, had a sale table of panties in one of the department stores when I was in it about 6 months ago. But nonetheless, no, I know, and that's going to be, and the phrase, I don't know about you, but the phrase that I don't want to hear the new normal. I don't, because
we don't know what it is.
Well, we don't, and they don't, and they meaning politicians, even medical professionals, etc. But I would tell you that we all want to get back to normal living and think that we will at some point. So hopefully we'll be talking about that tonight. We'll be talking about that on Thursday and answering some of those questions that we want to answer. Please stop hitting.
I'm fiddling. I'm
right,
fiddling.
I understand that.
I'm the fiddler on the chair. But I just want to know how we control this, that, and the other thing. But to your point, and we were talking about this because we watched some of the briefing today. We got together early to do
the daily briefing,
a little show prep. And honestly, this is the first one I've watched all the way through in ever. Because I saw the first few, I think, and I was just like, I can't watch a bunch of people stand up for 30 minutes and tell me they don't know anything. So I thought, well, you know what? It's been 6 weeks. We'll watch today. And we watched the same 3 people stand up and say, we don't know anything. We don't really know.
I
and
guess
every
for
question
me,
was asked, we don't really know. But there was an attempt. Do you think this reopening is too soon?
No, I don't. I think this reopening has to occur because I really think we're on the verge. You've already started to see it in some states. I think we're on the verge of people going crazy. I mean, I really do. I think there's there's risk reward with everything. And I get it. And I'm not for a second downplaying the severity and some of the numbers, even though I don't know what numbers to believe. But I think we all know that this has taken lives, that a lot of people have contracted coronavirus. But here's what I would tell you. At some point, the economic downturn of this, I mean, you're starting to see it on all kinds of levels. I mean, there are only so many furloughs, only so many layoffs, only so many job losses you can take, and businesses closing. And this is only the beginning.
Well,
so no, to answer your question, I don't think it's too early. My only fear is that if we start to see, and I know everybody gives you that, and I don't even understand what that 14 days means. I don't. From what to here to there, and this is this phase and then that phase. Here's what I do know. I do know that I hope we don't panic. I hope we don't panic.
So if there's a spike, that we lock it down further?
I think you're going to see, at some point, somewhere, you're going to see a spike. You are. Right. It's human nature.
Right.
If you have more, look, the stay at home, at least in theory, we're being told it has worked. So when you start to put people back out, and again, you're asking people to follow rules, I'm not sure they're going to.
No. Well, I mean, dude, I can tell you right now, the area that I live in, and I love Milford to death, but I would tell you we have that Dora Cup.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing.
Good
because
idea.
It allows
Right.
bars
Sure.
to get, to do the little, entertainment zone or whatever. But I have seen it being used to the extent where now the police have to go in and say, this is not what's supposed to be happening.
Right.
And I don't want the police ever having to tell me how to act or where to go or what to do, because that's not the country that we are supposed to live
correct.
in. But I would tell you this, and this is my own personal theory, and maybe I'm wrong, but the only people that think we're all in this together are the ad agencies. Because most people are out taking care of their business, what they want to do. F you. If you don't like it, I don't care about you that much. They are out because they're losing their minds. Or I see groups of people, 6 people, they all may be in the same family, and they've been hanging out together, but they're hanging 8 feet away from the other group of 6 people. Right. And there's 7 of those groups. That's not what this is supposed to be about. And if you don't, in the restaurants that are able to stay open, and we saw, Parker's and Blue Ash finally say we're going to go ahead and shutter the place, which sucks because a great place, always crowded,
tremendous
great food, music,
cool atmosphere,
cool bar, everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the tip.
I do
That's
too.
the point of the spear.
I do too.
But if you really care about your favorite restaurant, and we've talked, I've specifically talked to Paul, and
You've got the shirt tonight,
all the guys,
showing support.
Support the locals down in Milford. I got this from one of them. But if you want them to be able to stay open, do what they're asking you to do, because I'm telling you, one picture on social media of people standing around not doing what they're supposed to do, that's going to be the end of it. And these guys, like the governor just opened up, they need to be able to stay open and do at least this much for now.
Well, you mean like the beaches in Florida? How the next day they're packed? But here's what I would tell you.
But were they? That was the other question.
I know. Well, that's the problem with all this. Yeah. There's so much fear. There are 2 words that I'm going to use: common sense. And trust me, I know. Go ahead and laugh. Yeah. I get it. But common sense. If you exercise common sense, I think this reopening, I think all of that, Gale Force wind coming down, of course. But I would tell you that I do believe common sense is the key.
All right. Well, speaking of common sense,
yes.
our producer and our director has also reminded us, because we're not very good at this, to be honest with you. We're not very good at self-promotion. Remember, if you like what you see, I don't see how you can't. I mean...
Oh, right, yeah, well, I do. Trust me.
You should see the blanket Mamaw has on her lap.
Yeah, Mamaw's cold. This weather sucks.
Like and share, and share, and share. You know what? We wish it was sunny and share, but eventually we will get there.
Well, let me tell you. Here's what I tell you. In the coming weeks, on the coming Monday nights, at some point, you'll be going, I wish it was cold again. Please put something more on.
Yeah, well, because I don't want... Right now I could be standing here like this because this cool breeze coming straight across. But,
now, let me give you a story from today, if I may. So like and share. Did we do
like
that?
And
we
share.
Okay with that? Like and share.
And if you don't know what that means, we don't either, but Lori does, so please do whatever she tells you to do.
I have a feeling that the things for me like and share mean to have a different meaning than maybe what's being suggested here.
Yeah,
but
it was puff and pass, I think, in our day.
You're right.
It was puff and pass.
But so I'm going to give you this story from today. This just blew me, and we'll get into the restaurants, we'll get into some other stuff, but this blew me away. So I went to my financial institution, okay? And it's obviously drive-through. You can't go in.
Right.
Which I got to ask you, why not? So let me get this straight.
Well, you can make appointments to go in.
Well, but come on, man. So you're telling me it's worse to walk into a bank than it is to walk into a Home Depot or a Lowe's? There's a hell of a lot more people in there. And what could be more essential than having money? I digress.
Well, okay.
So we pull up, and there are four drive-through lanes. ATM, 3 drive-thrus. Of course, one of them has a cone in front of it, because why would you want them working when you have drive-through only, right? So we get in. There's about 9 cars. So we pull up, and we're in the far outside lane. We advance up a couple cars, car in front of me. 25 minutes later,
right? Yeah, well.
the dude is still, and I can hear the back and forth, right? He obviously doesn't have the right stuff. He doesn't have the right stuff. They're trying to tell him that. He's not getting it. Now, what do you think, in theory, what should have been done? Well, I'll tell it, and I'll tell because I told them what should have been done when I got up there. So we finally get up there 30 minutes later. 30 minutes. And she says, how you doing today? I said, well, I was doing great until I had to sit here for 30 minutes. I said, I got to be honest with you. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Move him up to, like, when the Big Mac isn't ready, move him up over to another space.
Tell him to pull up in the lot, make an appointment, or tell him to come back. Here's the line I got. Sir, we're trying to run the bank through a drive-through. And I wanted to say, like, well, guess what every restaurant is doing?
Right.
They're doing the same thing. That's not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Well, and not 6 weeks in.
Correct.
You don't want to hear excuses. Correct. You want to hear solutions.
So guess what I'm going to do? I'm done with that bank.
Well, but
that's it.
But they're going to say to you, you can do some things online too, and that's because I would tell you a lot of places have been saved by the fact that they do have some online.
Agreed.
Some online entity, but.
So let me ask you this question. So. Not that I don't want to use the phrase new normal, but what do you think will so from a business standpoint and a customer, from a consumer transaction standpoint, when all this is done, what are some good things you think may come out of this in terms of the way you make it easier? Well, I'm just saying, kind of what you just alluded to, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that something, are people going to be, is that a good thing? I don't know.
Here's what I would tell you, and you know what I think is going to change? Nothing.
Really?
I think
Nothing
once
at all?
we get I think businesses will change certain things, and then eventually we're going to be right back where we were because of what I said before. No one cares about anything outside of this little perimeter.
Well,
nobody. I mean, hospital workers and all that. All the first responders and everything. But I'm telling you right now, people will get back to what they want to do and what they're used to doing. Where this is going to change is with our kids. Kids that are in their teens and hopefully up through the mid-20s right now. Nobody over 25, I think, right now feels like they want to change anything, including to a degree us.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be more rude, more standoffish, and I don't think anything's going to change. Once they figure out a way to put people back into a large group, it's going to go right back to the way it was.
I would tell you, I think
maybe less handshaking, but that would be it.
I think office space will be reduced.
Yeah, that'll be
I think you're going to see a lot more companies allowing their people, assuming that they can be productive, to work from home. I do.
Yeah.
I think that's a change.
Well, and I would tell you that. I mean, if you're in commercial real estate, you've got to be sitting there going, businesses are realizing they don't need a third of the square footage because, let's say they have 6 departments and 2 of them have been efficient from home. What I would like to see and what I would think you would want to do is if you can determine which one of those can be efficient from home and you can move them and incentivize them to work from home, that you pay less maybe on your real estate bill or whatever, but then you can afford to hire maybe a couple more people to support either those groups or the other ones in-house. I don't know. I would like to see businesses use this as an opportunity when they get a chance to expand and find new efficiencies. That's what I would say. But we're talking about businesses, and I know we want to get to the draft too. That's something that we talked about.
Well, I was gonna use a radio term. You know what they would tell us to do right now?
What?
Reset.
Reset, yes.
Reset. It's the reality check with Gamble and Finn, larger than live. It's our test drive. We're doing it here on this Monday night, right here from the palatial Gamble backyard, which I really haven't been able to do anything yet because it's 38 degrees.
Still pretty nice though, Fred.
Thank you, Fred. But trust me, maybe we'll do a virtual tour at some point when I get the annuals put in. I know you're kind of a flower. Maybe I'll give you a quiz. I'll ask you about bushes and shrubs and plants.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that'll be fascinating.
So we'll do this each and every Monday night, and then on Thursday nights, don't forget to check us out, 700 WLW, 9 to midnight, each and every Thursday.
Yeah, and one thing that we are going to do, just to keep it, kind of keep it fresh, is we're going to move our set around the back 40 here at House Gamble. Like tonight, we chose as our backdrop his neighbor's side wall. And
which is awesome.
it's good that it cooled off a little bit because their air conditioner was kicking on about every 8 minutes. So we won't have that just yet, but we will be finding different spots around the back 40 to host the show. So we invite you to come back and see that and how well the perennials and the annuals and the nuptials
and the shedding of clothes.
and the shedding.
And don't forget,
Oh, God.
like
We're
and
trying to
share.
get people to watch.
Like and share. One week, I might just don a blanket and nothing else.
I just go, you know what? I'm going full Winnie the Pooh right now, and you can't tell.
Do you want to talk some draft?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit
All
about
right,
the
virtual draft, very different. Did you watch? How much did you
I
watch?
watched the first awkward 20 minutes of the back and forth with Roger Goodell, and then I watched the Bengals make the
First
presumed
pick.
presumptive pick of Joe Burrow, which they did. I saw a very odd reaction come out of the Burrow household, and then I went on to do a promo for this nonsense. But I didn't really watch much else. But I did see that night one, the ratings were the best they had ever been.
15.6
Yeah.
million, correct. Well, now, and there's variables to that. I mean, one, the NFL is the most popular professional sports brand. That's point A. Secondarily, competing with, if you're a sports, believe me, I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me, I love watching sports. I'm going nuts. But here's what I would tell you. Here's a couple observations. I'll just go Bengals first. I thought it was an outstanding draft. And I thought
on paper it looked
well.
good.
I thought if you watched the Bengals last year, they were horrific. They were 2-14. So they got their franchise quarterback of the future. Then they drafted T. Higgins, an outstanding 27 touchdowns in his career at Clemson, a playmaker. Then if you watch the Bengals linebackers, you know they're horrific. They got a couple linebackers. They're going to have Jonah Williams back on the offensive line. I felt like if you look at some of the draft pundits, and you know when you know if a draft worked about 3 to 5 years from now. So
Right.
this is all conjecture, but it was interesting. Bengals, Browns, Ravens, 3 of the 4 in the AFC North viewed as winners by most
Yeah.
that I saw. The only loser, the Steelers.
My Steelers, yeah.
But I tell you, I thought that the Ravens had, and you know, the Ravens formula to me is kind of interesting. You look at the selections, they're all for big-time programs. And I don't understand it. I get Bill Belichick or his dog Nike maybe made the picks. But, you know, Belichick's got that reputation of kind of finding the hidden gems. But I don't know. I watch enough college football. To me, if you're going to have guys making plays against the best teams, wouldn't that translate better in theory to the NFL? They
Well,
talk
in
about how
theory,
few,
yeah.
in theory. But here's what I would tell you. I thought ESPN, and it was really ESPN's crew and ABC and the NFL Network, I thought they did an outstanding job.
Yeah, from a production standpoint, I thought it was very well done. You know, to have the grid of the fans, you know, all the Bengals fans, you know, up in there. In
Chargers couldn't even fill the grid
Yeah.
since moving from San Diego to LA. But what I would tell you is, I think most people were watching too, waiting for some sort of a train wreck.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you think about it. They had 60 players where they were in their homes or the players were in somebody else's home. That's
Right.
up for debate.
Right.
You had coaches, GMs. You had the pundits, the people from the networks evaluating the picks. There was, with the exception of I think the pick is in, it's not ready yet. Beyond that, it was outstanding.
Well, and I would tell you it was a great opportunity to see Roger Goodell in his natural habitat, uncomfortable.
Well, but let me tell you, the funniest thing about Goodell is, and by the way, that basement, I mean, Lord have mercy. But I can give you, now you didn't watch the 3 days, okay?
Right.
So first night, he had like the business, you know, the sport coat, right?
Right.
The next day, he went a little more casual. Day 3, which was Saturday, he was wearing a T-shirt. Now, I swear to you, rounds 2 and 3, he was falling asleep. I'm
You think?
serious. He had a bowl of M&Ms that he was eating. I think maybe to inject some sugar to keep him awake. But this is great. So on day 3, they interviewed him and asked him about his wearing a T-shirt. And he said, how about this? He makes $40 million a year.
Oh,
You
but
know
it was
what
a nice T-shirt.
you know what he said? I've been putting in screens
Oh.
at his
In his
house.
house. Did he forget the draft was
Well,
on again?
putting in screens, can't you hire
hire
someone?
You know what? I kind of admire that.
Okay, no, but you know what? I don't look, he got rolled. He got brought in at a bad time. He's kind of a tool. He can't ad-lib. But you know what? I don't know.
Well, I will say this: the opening where he just turned around and let everybody boo him.
Right.
And what is it?
That
The Bud Light Seltzer.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Bud Light Seltzer ad were like hashtag boo the commish. the more you use that
Right.
hashtag, the more money they would
Right.
donate. At least he has some self-deprecating sense of humor, and he even turned to the crowd. He goes, "Let's just get my normal welcome out of the way." He goes, "Oh, you can do better than that." I thought that was pretty good,
Well,
and then that dovetailed into the Bengals.
And they did raise over $100 million.
Yeah, that's big.
You know, which is big. Two other observations. Bill Belichick, you can love him or hate him, and most people take one side or the other. How about his dog? He's in this he's in this kitchen in what you would expect for Belichick, kind of an ugly yellowish paint. But he's got his dog, I think the name was Nike, sitting in the chair when it was supposed to be showing him, and he came in and fed him a treat while he's in the chair. Love it. But did you see the pad of Cliff Kingsbury, the coach of the Arizona Cardinals?
I don't think I did.
You have to look this up. It's been going viral. This dude, who was the coach at Texas Tech, essentially got fired. He's entering year 2 with the Arizona Cardinals. Dude, I'm telling you, he was in some room, I don't know what it was, with these glass, 50-foot high. I mean, it was like...
Really?
Yes. You got to check it out.
So he wasn't in his house? Was he at the stadium?
Oh, no. It was his house.
Really?
And everybody's been enamored with his pad.
Hang on for a second. I'm going to take a drink, and I don't want to give any free plugs.
Okay, please step out, turn around. There you go. But I will tell you, I thought seeing the coaches and seeing the general managers at home with their kids, there's been that back and forth. Was Mike Vrabel's son on the commode in the shadow?
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly, he had his other son wearing some kind of giddy-up, dressed up like some kind of mascot. Former Bengals defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer with a big-ass moose head above his fireplace. I don't know. I thought that part of it was cool, and I got to be honest with you. I will bet you that I don't think they'll go all virtual, but I bet you that they take a lot of pieces. Absolutely.
Well, and I would tell you, too, that it did not dampen fans' enthusiasm for it. I think there were lots of watch parties. And that said, certainly Monday nights at 7, we would encourage all the watch parties you can have virtually as well so that you like and share and join us for the what we call Larger Than Live. Tonight's the test drive for the Gamble and Finn reality check, Larger Than Live. And we've been going here for 26 minutes, Fred. Seems like we just started.
It does.
Now, I would tell you, again, back to the goal of the whole program, is to be able to get in a little more in depth into some topics. If we say a bad word, it happens.
We've been good so far. We've been FCC compliant.
Yeah, we have. We don't even have to be.
No, we don't.
I will say, though, thank you to all those of you who are commenting. Thomas and Judy, Jeanette, Joe, Kurt, Brett, a handful of others. A bunch of Sweet Biscuit is watching.
Oh, okay.
She's the MC for the Sin City Burlesque gal. She's one of the best ever.
It's a great
But I did
name,
notice one. I did notice one comment that says we're backwards, and for some reason, is it Facebook Live shoots everything backwards? I don't understand why that is. Maybe someone knows why that is. I don't know what it. Hell, I barely knew how to turn it on.
It's a test drive.
But that's part of the test drive. So, and maybe that way all the time. I really don't know. But again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to share.
Yeah.
Don't forget to
Share.
like and share. If you want to give us a little heart, that's always nice. If you give us the mad face, we want to know why. If you have comments or anything you want to say or anything you want to ask, put it down there in the list of comments as well.
And don't forget this. There's a phrase that's in your contract when you're in radio.
Right.
That's called payola.
Yes.
And it's a very important clause that basically says that when you're under a radio contract, if they're not an advertiser, a paid advertiser with the station, like we can't go on Thursday night and say, hey, buy this product, use this service, whatever, unless they're a paid advertiser of the radio station.
If we're getting anything.
If we're getting
Yes.
anything. Right. So in other words, if I had free lawn service
Yeah.
and I talked about it, in theory, I'd be in violation of the payola, the little clause in the contract. Now, the beauty of this is there's no such thing. So here's what I would tell
So
you.
here it comes, baby. Here it comes. As
Well-
winds up. Here's the pitch.
I just think there's really no pitch. I mean, anything's for sale. I mean, you look, we can graphically do anything, but we really need beer and food.
Food. This would be a good place. The only thing that would make this better, I think, was being out here on the estate. Beer, food,
Am I missing something?
perhaps an official soft drink, maybe a
Okay.
maybe sportswear.
Right, yeah, something we could wear so
you know.
it wouldn't look so sad.
Any number of restaurants that would like to be part of this. We kid, but we're serious in the sense
Yeah.
that ultimately we want to give you a way that you and your company can
Absolutely.
be involved in what we're doing, because we do want to turn this into something on a much larger scale.
Well,
And
you
we've
see
talked
what-
about wanting to do this forever.
No question.
And now's the chance to do it,
Yeah.
especially since we can do it with no makeup.
And you see what I'm with. Well, right? Anybody brings me makeup, I'm telling them just go.
Look at
but
you.
look, I got Skyline Chili.
Take
one
your
of my-
little. There you go.
Oh,
There
so
you go.
And of course the Reds. Oh, I'm longing for the Reds. I sound like the governor now because that's what you have to do. You have to set something in your life, and then I do have to say two quick things about that. I don't want to get back to this, but yes, we do want you, and we want to support people.
Yeah.
Lori and I talk all the time about supporting the locals, and we try to do that. I mean, I think there's never been a more important time to do that. And I'm not going to give you we're all in this together. I mean,
No, because we're not.
But
Hang on.
here's
for a
what I
sec.
would tell you. Now I lost my damn train of thought.
That's all right. I'll be looking at the notes while you're trying to think. Cutie Delight, I couldn't agree more, Steve. Go ahead. You keep talking. You're
Well, I
talking
don't-
about partnerships
Oh, yeah,
and
we
find
had-
and support.
yeah,
You guys
but-
talk
but
about it all the time.
I had a poignant thought that just escaped me.
Maybe ask for a patio heater. That's a good one, Stan. That's not
Well,
bad.
yeah, if it's going to continue being in the damn 30s in the summer here.
I think to
yes.
your point, though, I think what we're looking for, is we want people that we can partner up with and people that we believe in. And if it's a place that we really believe in, you set a hook in us and we're
Yeah.
good to go. But we're doing it to have some fun. We enjoy being around one another. We always have. And we look forward to, continuing to make this a bigger and better thing. You know what I've been noticing, because we're shooting on the video up here and I'm watching in a monitor down here. And it didn't occur to me. They always talk about don't touch your face.
Right.
It just occurred to me in watching this how much I fidget and do and mess with my hat and do all this stuff. It's got to be annoying to watch. So I promise I'll work on that as well.
I will tell you, I think I used to do that a lot more, and that is one conscious effort that I have made. Like, I'll find myself sometimes and stop. And I think that's, when I do, I make it a point, like I cough before I coughed into my, I'm trying to do those.
Well-
You know me, I'm a germaphobe anyway, so I've always washed my hands a million times.
Well, we talked about this earlier. The number of times that we think to wash our hands now that we didn't before,
Correct.
even if we did.
Right.
And that's sad that it really has boiled down to that.
Yeah.
General basic hygiene. You go back to week 1 and all this, all the toilet paper was disappearing, but all the soap was still on the shelves.
Right now.
Well, this wasn't because, maybe everybody got it because their head was up their ass and there was no toilet paper to get it out of there, but nobody was washing their hands. I'm like,
Right.
shouldn't this be the main
Well-
thing? How come no one knows this part of it?
I'll give this guy credit. The guy he did both of my retinal surgeries, Dr. Chris Riemann. We were in there for a follow-up visit, and he said right at the very beginning, he said there are two things, and he even encouraged me. He said on Thursday night on your program, mention these, and he said, wash your hands, don't touch your face.
Yeah.
And when I had my most recent follow-up, I told him, I said, dude, he goes, hey, it's not, this isn't groundbreaking. Oh, I know what it was. I know what I remember now. Okay, it just
Welcome back to Non Sequitur Theater. We're your hosts.
well, it just
Campbell
came-
and Flick.
It just came. Well, hold that thought on Mr. Meatwood, please, because we didn't hear the only one to say. it. But anyway,
And
the one thing that irritates the hell out of me is when people stand up during this crisis and say the phrase, "I know how tough it is."
yeah,
When you are making a lot of money and you, doctor, are making $265,000, either one of you taking a pay cut?
yeah.
And when I see that CEO, they defer. Stop.
Well, I would tell you the first one, the Texas Roadhouse guy that did that, I thought was good because he was the first one out of the
And
chute
pull-
to say, I'm going to take this and I want to distribute it to the employees. That's why I had a problem with the NFL promo about we're all in this together. Tom Brady's not in this with me. He's not in this with somebody
No, I get it.
who doesn't have a spy. I don't want to hear Deion Sanders telling me that we're all going to be okay, baby. I promise.
he
You
needs
don't
some
know.
Grecian formula in his beard.
He
That looks
doesn't know.
mangy.
So people, I think there's a certain part
I-
of this that
I
I think
get it.
that's. But you go back to the doctor in the daily briefings. She talks like she's talking to 5-year-olds
Oh, God.
because, unfortunately, she has to. Because that's where I know we'll be accused of being preachy, but unfortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah.
If she doesn't talk in these calming, soothing, everybody's going to be okay, telling a story about up and down the mountain. I thought, honest to God, today she was going to whip out the giving tree. And I'm like, for God's sakes, leave me, let
With
me
a
pretend
mouth.
I have a pube. I'm an adult.
The mountain story was brutal.
Yeah, up and down the mountain, and there's going to be little hills. And then, but if you remember, we were watching it, and we were listening to all of the different questions, and we predicted the answers before they came. Well, what about this and this and this and the people that the dentist's office? And I said $10. He says, "That we don't really know." And he would say, "Well,
that was the first line.
We don't really know." They don't know. So you quit having the same press conference, I guess, over and over again. I'm sorry. I went on
It's okay.
longer than I'd hoped.
So what have you been doing?
Watching a lot of TV. I've been doing some painting. And basically, I sit out front of my house with a fire pit every night and wave at the neighbors that are walking by, because that's the only social interaction I have. I hang out between you and maybe 3 or 4 other people that I know their situation.
Yeah.
They're the only people I see. I see my daughter once a week,
Right.
and that's it. It is making me crazy. And I've been this way since November when I left Bogarts, but I could always get up and go somewhere if I wanted to go. Now you can't do that. So it is mind-numbing. And the whole, like you said, the whole I know how you feel thing.
Oh,
Don't be that arrogant to think you know how anybody else feels in the situation that they're in.
Now, I know we've kicked around TV, and I got a couple new things that I've been watching, but for you, have you watched anything new or different that you would recommend?
I don't know. There have been a couple different shows. I went down the rabbit hole actually on YouTube with some Bob Ross videos. Last night I went down. I found some really good ones. I went down the rabbit hole on Pink Floyd yesterday and watched some different things, and a whole hour about Syd Barrett. That's a whole other show. I would tell you the one thing I did watch, and I think it was a couple years ago. It was an American Playboy, the Hugh Hefner story. I don't know if it was on. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Like a documentary?
They dramatize it with a guy that plays him, but it goes back through the history of Playboy and the brand and the whole thing. And you can think what you want about Playboy and the objectification of women, but you look at the social issues and the different things that they attacked and they went after and they held up, and what they were up against, say, when Penthouse came on, and what they'd be willing to do, and what they would, the business moves that the guy made at times that those weren't popular moves. I found it fascinating. I think there was 10 episodes, so I watched that. Now, I would tell you the bad news about being locked in and binge watching something and having access to eBay, they did the whole thing about the Playboy clubs.
Oh, you did.
And they were talking about Cincinnati and this and Phoenix and this and that. And then when you went in, you bought a key, right? And if you went in, you showed the key, it had your number on it, and they put your name up on a board so you knew who else was there from the members. I wonder if you can find any of those keys.
Did you get one?
I did. That one right there from the Phoenix Club right there. It was surprisingly inexpensive, and it is Phoenix, Arizona 16725. I don't know who that was, but it's me now.
Now, the one here, wasn't it right off of 75 where the Holiday Inn was?
You know what? I don't know.
It was.
Was that where it was?
I believe it was. And if anybody knows, hit us up on Facebook.
Well, you know who used to work there? Fingers. Eddie Fingers.
Oh, did he really?
I posted that, and he sent me a note. He goes, I DJ'd there for a while. Let me tell you about that. He's never told me that.
When you were going, if you were going 75, like, south from the west side, there was the Holiday Inn that was on the right. Used to have a restaurant. I think one time it even had a Lucy's in the Skies. I swear to you,
I don't know.
that used to be the Playboy Club.
Did it? Yeah, I don't know.
If I'm wrong, tell me. But I think that's where it used to be.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. But Fingers, and a lot of people popped out of the woodwork. Oh, I knew somebody that worked there. I knew somebody was American. My dad took me there when I was 18. And so that was the show. That's the one that I've seen that kind of jumped out at me, that I found myself, I couldn't wait to see the next episode and how different things went.
So I've been watching, and this is nothing new. I have a tendency to just stumble on something and then watch like 3 or 4 of them in a row. I've been watching Chicago PD and Law and Order Special Victims.
Oh, forgot. But that's on all the time on every channel.
That's okay.
If the Shawshank Redemption isn't on, that's on.
I caught them on USA, and I watched like 4 or 5 of them in a row. Dude, it was yesterday. It was raining. I would have watched a color ball probably on the TV. I mean, it is what it is. But then, you know me, with Access TV, I love that.
Yeah.
I love the music. Outstanding. And I saw our boy Jesse James Dupree from Jackal. Trunk Fest.
Oh, on Trunk Fest.
Well, Eddie Trunk did a thing from Sturgis, and he interviewed Jesse at the very end. I love the big interview with Dan Rather. I love the rock and roll with Brian Johnson on the road and Sammy Hagar. Brian, I found my new home. If I can just get Mick Fleetwood to call me back.
Really?
Oh, my God, dude. He lives, like, at the bottom of a dormant volcano. Don't laugh, I'll take my chances. On the island of Maui. He bought a restaurant bar. He plays in the house band. Can you imagine?
Oh, that's awesome.
And Brian Johnson went there, and he he sang a song, Route 66, with Mick on drums and like these house band looking at Brian Johnson like they knew who he was. But I mean, can you imagine that? You're just in there. The place was packed.
Oh, that's great.
But it was just cool. I don't know.
Steve says 7th and Walnut. Steve Sadowski, our buddy, said 7th and Walnut.
That'd be it.
So it was downtown.
Oh, okay. 7th and okay, so 7th.
Unless that was the Hustler Club, because there was a Hustler Club too, if you remember.
I don't remember.
Well, you don't remember, but knowing Larry and Jimmy the way we've known them over the years, I want to say that was down there as well. But one show that Chuck said we should watch is, and I've heard a lot of people say this, The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. I guess it makes the Tiger King look like, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But
I can't. Now, I will say, give the Bengals some credit. Did you see this? They had a spot produced.
what?
Like, literally, after Burrow, they parlayed the draft pick of Burrow into which I thought was like,
A Tiger
okay.
King promo?
Well, no, not really.
Oh,
but I
it
mean,
could have been.
Well, I heard people reference that, but I mean, I got to tell you, I think fans look, they're not going to be that good this year. Trust me.
Yeah.
They're not. And don't expect Andy Dalton necessarily to be here, but I don't know. It's at least something to look forward to.
I would tell you this. They've had good drafts in the past.
Yeah.
It's good to look good on paper. Although, as you said, drafted Burrow first, the receiver T second.
T. Higgins, yep.
And then
Two
it
linebackers.
seemed like there was a logic to it. So I'll give them credit on paper. And I've said this, even as a Steeler fan, I want to live in a town that has good football.
Well,
I only need the Bengals to lose 2 games a year.
I know, right.
Fred. You know what I mean?
Right
but
now,
that said, I would like to see them get this thing on track. I still don't think it's possible with the ownership that they have. I just don't. And I don't want to see this be the greatest and worst day of Joe Burrow's life all in one. I would like to see them figure this out and work. But on paper is one thing. Maybe Paper Tiger King might be the way to go. But we'll see what they do with it.
Right now, you want to live in a town that has football.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So I want to ask you, too. You obviously spend a lot of time in the entertainment industry. I spend time in sports. What do we think happens here? Do we too say, who knows? Do you think what?
No, I think I know. I don't think concerts come back.
Now, when you say come back, you mean
this year.
Okay.
I think this year.
year.
I think this calendar year until maybe deep into fourth quarter. I don't think you see concerts come back. I'm not predicting it. I'm not wishing for it. I just don't think, because as we talked about earlier, you can reopen stores and you can reopen restaurants and people can kind of trickle in and you might be able to figure out a way to make those metrics work. First off, are people going to have money to spend? Are they going to have?
It's a legitimate
do you
question.
have any expendable income to go out and do certain things? That's going to be the first thing. But if you're talking about trying to put 1,000, 1,500, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 people in one room to watch a show, I don't think you're going to see that again until very, very, very late in the year, if at all.
Well, but I would tell you, I don't see how sports are any different. You can.
But I think they can still play the games.
They can, but it's got to make. I think the NFL can because the model is driven by television revenue. I don't think college can. I don't think college football can. I don't think the NBA or NHL, I don't think they're going to come back. And the one that scares me, I don't think Major League Baseball. How do you do it?
Well, I thought I saw a story today that said they are going to play.
Well,
I didn't get deep into it.
Okay, but we've seen that, we've heard that. Yes, I saw that. But again, until it actually happens,
the one that will, and I think
what's going to happen on May the 9th, UFC.
I don't know. It's already been pushed off once. I think by Disney, wasn't it?
It was Disney and ESPN called Dana White. I think this one happens.
Okay, the first sport to come back and sustain itself.
Yeah, I do.
Do you know what it is?
You're shameless. Go ahead.
What?
ACL?
Not cornhole. I think cornhole will come back.
Okay.
The American Cornhole Organization will have.
What am I missing?
Will have
golf?
Yes, it will be golf.
But I've heard a number of PGA Tour legitimate top of the line guys say we want the galleries.
Tough shit.
I know. Well, I get that.
Good for you.
I understand.
You know
that,
what I want? I want to win the lottery. Not going to happen. You want to still be able to get out and play.
But I get it.
They've got enough. They've had enough time. between the reason that they had to pull the
Yeah,
Masters.
no, you're
They've had
right.
enough time to figure out who's healthy and who isn't. They can do it with the proper distancing. The galleries don't ultimately matter.
So by the time the Masters comes back in November, is a gallery there? November.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that might
Yeah,
be
you
the
might be
one
right.
exception. You know, I saw somebody had recreated that famous second turn print from Churchill Downs
Right.
of all the horses coming around the second turn. No riders, no people in the stands. It was just the horses. And they're like, can we run this race without without jockeys? It'd be like dog racing. But I don't know. I think the PGA will be the first to try it and the one that can sustain it. I really don't know about anybody else. Mark Cuban doesn't really believe that the Mavs should be back in practicing, even though Texas is trying to open back up. I honestly don't know. And to answer your question, Jeanette, I happened to glance down to see that it is allergies. It is allergies. Because a lot of people are hearing you, and they're like, put your mask on.
Does he?
But it's
Oh no, it's
he
trust
doesn't
me,
smoke.
I know.
Yeah,
I know
he doesn't. Well, here's the thing. How the hell would you know? Between allergies, 30 degrees, 90 degrees, 40 degrees, 100 degrees, all this. How
Well,
would you know what you've got? But
It's
anyway,
allergies that I talk too much, and by this time of day, I've been talking so much all day, I'm starting to lose my voice.
well, maybe that's a good jumping off point.
You think?
Maybe we wrap up this test drive. A lot of people have been joining us: Dan and Tammy and Tina, Lisa, Mary, Joe, Justin, Jeanette, Madeline. Hello, Madeline. I didn't even know she knew we were here. Again, like and share.
She doesn't.
Share and like, and make sure that you do share this with people. We want to continue to refine. We want to continue to make it about you. In the meantime, hit us up, Gamble and Finn. We changed our Facebook profile to a Facebook page, so now we can build and do more with it. We can see who likes what and everything. So we want you to feedback. We want you to give us, any topics that you would like to hear us take off on. We're going to try not to repeat ourselves too much between now and Thursday
Right, sure.
on WLW.
He had a good high school friend, longtime friend of mine, Blake. Thank him for watching as well. Yeah, no, we will. That's the purpose of this, is not to regurgitate from Monday to Thursday.
Correct. Bill Bracier said to tell you hello as well.
Okay, Racine?
Racine.
Racine.
Sorry about that. It rolled by about 5 minutes ago.
Brazier. What do you, man, is that
I
where
saw your
mind
mask and I
is?
thought Bill
now
Brazier.
it's the time to go,
My
right?
bad. All right, so that's the beauty
Thanks,
of
Bill.
this. When
Yes.
we've either talked ourselves out or we don't think we're entertaining
Or
you.
we
and
start fumbling around
Not
and
even-
can't say words clearly anymore. It's time to be done.
That's when we'll go. We might go 3 hours. We thought really tonight we might try a 24-hour marathon just to start, but maybe we'll do that next week. So we are live. We are at the Palatial House Gamble here as the game of getting boned continues, and we will do our best to be here for you every Monday. Again, 7 o'clock Mondays. We'll find ourselves another location out here so that we can share that with you as well. I'm going to give us, see if we can get our theme song here to go out on. Oh, shoot. I got to turn this on. See if that happens. See, this is the beauty of it.
That's
All right,
right.
your boy's almost done
all-
cutting his grass, though, so that's
Oh,
pretty good.
yes. Good timing. There we go.
Oh, hang on. See you next week.